With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below. What we got here is our first look at Captain Marvel, according to page 6. This is some behind-the-scenes photos that have popped up over on page 6 from her shot. Now, this has been causing a bit of controversy, especially if you look at these the shots here, full body shot, her in a green suit, and people are going, wait a minute, I'm in Newton Bitta. That's not what she looks like. That's not at all what she looks like. How did this happen? Well, I mean, this is an origin movie set in the 1990s. Clearly, the outfit here is, it looks pretty close to her normal attire, but it's missing the red and the blue, or at least the red, and everything else. So according to Screen Rant, they've been talking about this here, and they have an article, Why Brie Larson's Costume is Green. Now, it says, even for those who have been reading the Captain Marvel comics for years, the history of Carol Danvers can be a bit confusing. We've already explained how Jude Law's Mar-Vell ties into Captain Marvel, but it's worth touching on a few points to explain the green suit. When the Cree warrior Mar-Vell originally came to Earth, he donned a green and white suit and used the name Captain Marvel. Eventually, he upgraded to the more familiar red and blue costume with the gold star, which would serve as inspiration to Carol when she gained similar abilities. So already kind of establishing that, we can see essentially that this is probably going to be either Mar-Vell's suit or a Cree suit. Now, it goes on to say that over time, Carol adopted her black and gold suit as she wore for most of her time as Miss Marvel, but then she returned to a costume inspired by Mar-Vell when she took his mantle, as he'd been dead for years. There's never any doubt that Carol would wear the same version of the modern suit in the MCU, but it's a safe bet that Marvel would tweak it in some way to make it look good in real life. Interestingly, the suit revealed today is just like you'd expect an MCU version of the Captain Marvel costume to appear, only with a different color scheme. Now, it goes on to say here that a couple reasons why Carol might be in this green costume. The simplest explanation is that she snags it from a Cree soldier after gaining her power. It's hard to tell what Marvel will change or condense when it comes to Captain Marvel's origins, but we do know that the Cree Skull War is a big part of the movie. As such, there's a chance that Carol will gain her powers during the conflict and then grab the uniform from a fallen Cree warrior as she heads into battle. The other big possibility is that we're seeing Mar-Vell's original suit, which gets handed down to Carol. And that's kind of what it feels like. To me, just looking at this right here, I can't help. I'm not big on Captain Marvel of who she was, but it kind of feels like this is like the Green Lantern Corps. Like this is their version of it, essentially. I don't know why that's like the vibe I'm getting. And they wanted it to be a realistic, tangible suit. And so it's possible that, yeah, she's going to change the color scheme of it once she gains her powers and becomes Captain Marvel. But this is just something she's going to wear as kind of a setup for you know, getting into it. It's kind of like Deadpool when they went through the whole montage of him trying to develop his costume. And at one point he was just wearing like a white hoodie with a mask on, you know, and everything else leading into obviously like the I'm wearing a red suit so no one can see me bleed sort of thing. And we could get a bit out of this. So I don't know necessarily how it's all going to tie together, but I do think that Screen Rant is onto something here when talking about the possibility of it and how it ties into the greater aspect of the film, even though Screen Rant in and of itself ultimately is not the most reliable source of information. You know, they tend to put out a whole bunch of clickbait. They tend to put out a whole bunch of nonsense. But I think they did pretty good here. And again, once we know more about this, I'm sure we're going to see at least, I don't know if we're going to get a cameo of Carol Danvers in Infinity War. I know she was on set. I don't know if it's going to be in this one or the next one, but the next one comes out next year. So, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some large tie-ins. They want to make this a big splash. And I'm sure the closer we get to the release of Infinity War, the more about Captain Marvel we will get to see as a whole. And that's going to be pretty cool once we finally do.